Idaho boasts the 10th lowest property tax rate in the country, according to the Tax Foundation. We'll break down exactly how your taxes vary depending on where you live in Idaho. We'll use a real-life example based on a home valued at $550,000. I'll show you how you might be able to save even more money on your property taxes beyond the homeowner's exemption. Let me show you how the homeowner's exemption works here in Idaho. And keep in mind, this is statewide. Let's say you just bought a house in Idaho for $550,000. Normally, property taxes are based on your home's full value, but Idaho offers something called the homeowner's exemption, which is basically a discount on your property taxes if you live in the home as your primary residence. Here's how it works. Idaho lets you remove up to $125,000 from your home's value before taxes are calculated, or 50% off, whichever is less. So instead of paying taxes on the full $550,000, you only pay taxes on $425,000. This lowers your property tax bill significantly. Why does this exist? The state wants to make it easier and more affordable for people who live in their homes as opposed to landlords or investors. It's a way of giving homeowners a break. How do you get it? Once you move in, you just apply one time with your county assessor's office. As long as you keep living in the home, you don't need to reapply. Now let's give you an example for a $200,000 home. Since 50% of $200,000 is $100,000, that means the county will only charge you property taxes on $100,000 instead of the full $200,000. Now, the homeowner's exemption is something you have to apply for. It is not something that's automatically sent or taken care of for you. You have to apply for it in the county that the home was purchased in. If you buy a second home or a vacation home or Airbnb, something like that, you cannot apply the homeowner's exemption to that second property. So now let's explore how each city stacks up. So if property taxes are important to you, you'll know where to consider moving to in Boise, Idaho. If you live in those Boise proper, your taxes are going to be around $3,850. Now we figured this out using this levy, as you can see on the screen. Some areas in Boise have a CID tax. If you're curious, what is a CID? A CID tax is a community infrastructure tax. It adds a bit more taxes to fund improvements like roads, parks, and utilities, specifically in your neighborhood. In Boise, we see this additional CID tax in areas of the Harris Ranch. Now, if you want information on what areas specifically include that CID tax, please watch our Harris Ranch video where we go into detail and can get you all that information. As you can see, with adding the CID tax to the Boise City tax in Harris Ranch, your taxes are over $5,000. So if higher property taxes is something you're more sensitive to, keep in mind that there are areas of Harris Ranch that will include this CID tax, increasing the Boise City property taxes. Something to keep in mind with Harris Ranch. Harris Ranch typically has higher property values. So with this over $5,000 CID tax, I would probably double that because we see homes valued in Harris Ranch around $800,000 to over $1 million. So just keep that in mind as it is an area with higher property values. In the city of Meridian, we see that the property taxes are significantly lower than we just saw in Harris Ranch. They're just over $2,000, and here is the levy for you to see. Now let's look at the city of Eagle, and this one might surprise you. It has one of the lowest property taxes at just over $1,700. Here's the levy for you to look at as well. Now in Eagle, we see a similar situation as we saw in the city of Boise with the Harris Ranch. Eagle has an area as well that has a CID tax in the area of Avimor. So with the Avimor CID tax, again, the property tax is raised to about $2,700. And here's the levy that we use to figure that number out. Not every house in Avimor has the CID tax applied to it. So I would encourage you to check out our video on Avimor where we show you and go into detail of what areas have that CID tax in Avimor and what areas do not. Let's take a look at Kuna now. Kuna comes in pretty moderately, just above $2,000 in property taxes. And again, here is the levy total that we use. There is an area that is unincorporated and their taxes come in at about $1,700. And here's the levy that we used for that. There is a plus to to the unincorporated areas. Within this tax that you pay, you do get a pest control. So if something comes up where you have rodents, they'll come out and take care of it because you've already paid into it. However, you're not paying into parks, sidewalks, different things like that for the city of Boise. So there is a little bit of lack of those in the unincorporated areas of Ada County. Let's wrap up Ada County with Star, which their property taxes come in around $1,900. So quick reminder before we jump into Canyon County is through all the Ada County areas that we just covered, Eagle did come in the lowest. I just want to remind you that the property values in Eagle are higher, just like we mentioned in Harris Ranch. Now let's talk about Canyon County. Middleton's property taxes come in about $2,800. Here's the levy that we used for Middleton. Middleton comes in at $2,800. I just want to make you aware that in Middleton and Caldwell, if you're in the Valley View School District, your property taxes will be higher because Valley View has a higher property tax levy. Caldwell comes in just about $2,600. Again, if you're in the Valley View School District, that will be higher because of the higher levy for Valley View. Nampa is just over $3,000. Again, that will go higher if you're in the Valley View district. Just as we saw in the unincorporated Boise area, the property taxes were lower. We see that same thing in the unincorporated Canyon County. The property taxes come in just over $1,400. So that is the lowest in Canyon County. We've seen a lot of people love the Canyon County area because of the lower property values. But as you saw, Canyon County has higher property taxes than the Boise area, minus the city of Boise. That one still is higher, as well as the areas in Boise that have CID. The unincorporated, Meridian, Star, Eagle, Kuna, all those came below the property taxes of Canyon County. At the beginning of the video, I told you there were some other ways to save money. Let's get into it. Did you know Idaho offers ways to lower your property tax bill beyond the homeowner exemption? Well, one of those ways is the property tax reduction program, which is also called the circuit breaker, and it can save qualified homeowners between $250 to $1,500 a year. Here's how to know if you qualify. In 2024, your income in 2024 currently would need to be under $38,000. Or if you're 65 or older, blind, widowed, disabled, a former POW or hostage, or under 18 years old, as well as your primary residence in Idaho would have to have a homeowner's exemption by April 15th. Even mobile homes count. Make sure you apply for your homeowner's exemption between January 1st and April 15th if you have bought in Idaho. Depending on military disability, you could qualify without being 65 years or older. If you're a qualified veteran and Idaho homeowner, you may be eligible for the Veterans Property Tax Reduction, which can reduce property taxes on your home and up to 1 acre of land by $1,500. That all this information is current, but these are ever changing. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'd love to help you navigate this and help you to understand it more.